Welcome to my channel. Today we're discussing the rising tensions between Benin and Niger. Please don't forget to subscribe. The situation between Niger and Benin continues to deteriorate. Despite hopes for a de-escalation following Benin's decision to lift the blockade on Nigerian crude oil in early May, another incident has exacerbated the situation. 5 Nigerian nationals accused of espionage have been arrested in Benin. According to the special prosecutor of the court for the repression of economic offences and terrorism cried, these individuals avoided the main entrance and attempted to use a back entrance instead. Whether these accusations are true remains uncertain. We cannot answer this question objectively. However, this new incident highlights the ongoing crisis of confidence between Benin and Niger, two countries with deep historical, cultural, and sociological ties. Recently, Niamey, through its prime minister, accused Benin of serving as a rear base for terrorists who regularly attack Niger, an accusation Benin swiftly denied. It's worth noting that Benin has also experienced several terrorist attacks on its own soil. Finding a solution to the crisis between the two neighbors is urgent. However, if anyone could find reasons to celebrate the ongoing conflict between Cotonou and Niamey, it would be the armed terrorist groups as they thrive on chaos and violence. This highlights the urgent need for leaders Patrice, Talon and Abdourahamane Tchiani to set aside their egos and strive for peace. The primary concern should not be their personal interests, but the well-being of their people who, if not for the divisive effects of colonization, would see no borders between them. Resolving the crisis between these two neighbors is critical, especially in light of the sanctions imposed by the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, following the assassination of Mohamed Bazoum. Although these sanctions have since been lifted, the tensions remain high, with Niamey harboring resentment against their neighbor and engaging in subtle retaliatory actions. While their grievances may have some validity, it's crucial to remember that peaceful coexistence with neighbors is essential. Efforts must be made to mend relations before it's too late, as continued tension can only lead to further deterioration. Let us hope that reason will prevail and that a peaceful resolution can be achieved. Beijing's motivations in resolving the conflict in Niger encompass a blend of economic, political, and reputational factors. Niger's relations with its neighbor Benin deteriorated following a coup in Niger in July 2023, which led to the closure of their border. Despite significant losses, Niger hesitated to reopen its border with Benin due to security concerns. Last month, China dispatched officials from its foreign and energy ministries, along with executives from the China National Petroleum Corporation (CNPC), to mediate the dispute between the two countries. Following China's successful mediation, Niger has agreed to re-establish diplomatic relations with Benin and reopen the border. In response, Benin has agreed to permit Niger to use its port for oil shipments. While China stands to gain economically from this agreement, the successful mediation also highlights Beijing's emerging role as a peacemaker in Africa. In March 2024, the China National Petroleum Corporation (CNPC), a state-owned enterprise, completed a nearly 2,000-kilometer pipeline from Agadem in eastern Niger to Seni-Kpodje in Benin, near the Cotonou port on the Atlantic coast. The construction of the pipeline began in September 2019 and was initially slated for completion by 2021. However, delays were caused by the COVID-19 pandemic and regional instability. The situation was further complicated by the coup in Niger in July and subsequent sanctions from the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, causing project costs to exceed the estimated $5 billion. As a result of the ECOWAS sanctions, Niger withdrew from the community and, along with Mali and Burkina Faso, formed the Alliance of Sahel States (ACE), a regional group of 3 junta-led countries in West Africa. In December 2023, Benin unilaterally opened its border with Niger on humanitarian grounds. Following this, in February 2024, ECOWAS partially lifted its sanctions against Niger for similar reasons. Despite this, Niger chose to keep its border closed, blocking Beninese goods and people from entering. While Niger cited security concerns, the primary reason was Benin's open condemnation of the coup and the public protests against it. The junta in Niger likely feared that France or ECOWAS might use the Benin border to try to reinstate the previous government. Ironically, the survival of Niger's junta government hinges on its relationship with Benin. Prior to the coup, the Benin corridor, linking Niger's capital, Niamey, to the port of Cotonou, managed 80% of Niger's freight. Both the International Monetary Fund (IMF) and the African Development Bank (AFDB) have forecasted a growth rate of 11% or more for Niger in 2024, driven by its oil exports. However, for these exports to be realized, Niger needs to reconcile with Benin. China also engages in significant trade with Benin, amounting to hundreds of millions of dollars annually, and is therefore motivated to resolve the current standoff. This successful mediation is crucial for China to safeguard its economic and resource interests in the region. Niger is also strategically important for China to enhance its political influence. 6 years ago, the United States invested approximately $110 million to build 2 drone sites in Niger, located in Niamey and Agadez, and spends an additional $30 million annually to maintain them. However, the junta government that took power in July 2023 has demanded the US withdraw its troops and dismantle its bases. Similarly, in December 2023, France was compelled to remove 1,500 military personnel from Niger. Although Russian military personnel have begun arriving in Niger, China perceives an opportunity to establish a diplomatic presence to protect its commercial interests. Beyond crude oil, Niger possesses Africa's highest grade uranium ore, accounting for about 5% of global production. In 2007, the China National Nuclear Corporation (CNNC) formed a joint venture with the Nigerian government to develop the Azelik uranium mine, which was later closed in 2015 due to financial issues. In July 2023, the China Nuclear International Uranium Corporation (CINO) agreed to restart the project, which is expected to produce 700 tons of uranium annually from its estimated 15,600 tons of resources, benefiting China's nuclear industry. China has provided the junta government of Niger with a $400 million loan to help the country manage its debt accumulated since the military takeover. The loan carries a 7% interest rate, and Niger has agreed to repay it with an equivalent amount of oil exports within a year. China also engages in significant trade with Benin, amounting to hundreds of millions of dollars annually, and is therefore motivated to resolve the current standoff. This successful mediation is crucial for China to safeguard its economic and resource interests in the region. Niger is also strategically important for China to enhance its political influence. 6 years ago, the United States invested approximately $110 million to build 2 drone sites in Niger, located in Niamey and Agadez, and spends an additional $30 million annually to maintain them. However, the junta government that took power in July 2023 has demanded the US withdraw its troops and dismantle its bases. Similarly, in December 2023, France was compelled to remove 1,500 military personnel from Niger. Although Russian military personnel have begun arriving in Niger, China perceives an opportunity to establish a diplomatic presence to protect its commercial interests.